Hey guys, it's Special Forest, and today I want to discuss patterns and how to recognize them and change them or get out of them altogether. And when I'm talking about patterns, I'm talking about unhealthy patterns in your life, and they're making your life a little bit less uncomfortable, and how we can make choices, conscious choices, based off of the patterns we're perceiving from our past to get to a better place. So, I want to share a little bit of my backstory with you guys here and how I was able to recognize patterns, which helped get me into a mindset where I could start making conscious choices in my life to have a better life for myself. So, I was in a series of 2 back-to-back relationships that were abusive. The first relationship that I was in for 2 years. This person was incredibly emotionally abusive to me and very controlling. And before that, I was single for about 3 years, but I wanted so badly to be in a relationship with somebody, anybody, that when this person came along and they chose me, I was like, okay, kind of just went with it, which sounds terrible, and it is terrible, but that's how lonely I was. And I think a lot of people are so afraid of loneliness or being alone that they find themselves in situations like this. So it took me 2 years to get out of this relationship, and I tried a few times, but I thought this was kind of just normal behavior. If you love somebody enough, you stick with them. It's normal, right? Couples fight all the time. People yell at each other. People say nasty things that sometimes they don't mean. And, I wanted to make sure that my partner at the time was incredibly comfortable, so I took jobs that paid less because he was worried I would cheat on him or have an affair. Very controlling, very codependent relationship. When I finally was able to get out of that relationship, it took me saving money for almost a year to buy a car, and I was living out of my car for a very, very short period of time just to get away from that relationship. I did not have enough time to really process what had happened before I met somebody about 2 weeks later, which I didn't really even want to do, but it was this opportunity I felt like I couldn't turn down. But I was not in the mind frame to be in another relationship, a serious relationship again. And again, this is just my personal experience. I'm not preaching to anybody to do what they feel is right in their life. I'm just trying to show you all how I got to recognize the patterns I was in. And I was head over heels in love with this person, and there were some red flags in the beginning of this new relationship that happened 2 weeks after the other breakup. And I was kind of like, I don't know, this kind of seems a little bit like the other relationship. I don't want to get into another one like this, but I'll let it pass. I was so madly in love with this person. It wasn't until about 3 months in that the abuse started to happen. Physical, emotional, mental abuse. And again, it was kind of one of those situations where I just thought, this is kind of normal. It took me 3 years to get out of that one. And when I got out of that one, I thought, wow, I am 31 years old, and I've not had any successful, fulfilling romantic relationships. My life's not really where I want it to be, and this is really depressing. And I ended up coming across self-love work, doing mantra, setting intentions. I was seeing a therapist at the time too, because my main goal was to not be in an abusive relationship again. I didn't really know at the time, but I knew, like deep down, I knew there's got to be something better than this. Why is this happening? I came across YouTube videos again about self-love, about manifesting, about setting intentions, and it helped significantly. And I also came across a video about recognizing patterns and where they come from. And it is a lot to do with conditioning. So I started to look back on my family relationships. What was that like? Well, not really the best example, unfortunately. I grew up in sort of an abusive home. I was raised in a cult. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. And there was a lot of controlling factors in there, a lot of a fear mindset with if you do the wrong thing or the bad thing, then God's not going to love you anymore, so be on your best behavior. I saw my parents' family relationship, and even though they're still together now, and I hope that they're incredibly happy, I'm assuming that they are, but it was, there were definitely some abusive dynamics that went on in my family relationship that I thought was normal. And since they stuck it out over this whole course of this time, I thought, well, that's just what you do. You just put up with stuff like this when you really, really love somebody. And that was what I considered to be love. So I got into a series of back-to-back relationships where I thought that was normal. You tolerate the abuse because that's what love looked like to me. So I'm sharing these stories with you guys because once I started to recognize the patterns and once I started to do the self-love work, being alone wasn't that scary for me anymore. I realized that from my conditioning from my childhood to my previous 2 partners, I was constantly being told I wasn't good enough, that I could be doing more. I was too stupid, not pretty enough, I smelled bad. I mean, these were actual things that were said to me, which were terrible. And there was a moment right before I broke up with my last partner, and I was taking my dog on a walk, and I thought, God, my entire life, people have just told me that I wasn't good enough. People have made me feel really shitty about myself. And that's not the whole story, because you can allow people to make you feel shitty by agreeing to what they're saying. And once I stopped agreeing to what these people were saying, I realized I could do anything, and I could choose to be exactly who I wanted to be. Once I started to recognize the patterns, I realized that I kind of wasn't making conscious choices in my dating life or in my personal life, and that a lot of fear was keeping me held in place and not tapping into my full potential as a person. And I knew I had a lot of creativity deep down in my soul. I knew I had a lot to offer and to give to other people, but my mind was completely focused on only the negative things people were saying to me. And I was so desperate for love that I allowed them to treat me this way. So, one of the ways to have a healthier and better life is to start recognizing the patterns in your life, to start to recognize how much of this is you, or how much is this of what people have said to you or made you feel in your life. And you can choose to stop agreeing to it. And you can choose to start consciously making better, healthier choices in your life. And just start recognizing the patterns first. It's helped me significantly, and also in conjunction, keep doing the self-love work. Because if you love yourself enough, what other people have to say about you isn't going to affect you because you're not going to believe it or agree it. And in fact, you're going to get a lot of people self-reflecting back to you how wonderful you are. Because you see yourself as wonderful, you're going to start seeing other people as wonderful. Anyways, those are my thoughts on recognizing patterns. If anyone needs help with this, I'm going to put my email in the description box below. I'm offering counseling right now. So if you need help recognizing, conditioning, patterning, and abusive behavior or unhealthy decisions that you may be making in your life, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or share with friends. If you're interested in staying tuned to more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button. Again, thank you for watching, and you all have just a wonderful, beautiful, lovely day.